it's your boy Amanda, and Sonny with a Chance was a weird show. Sonny with a Chance was a Disney Channel show that ran from 2009 to 2011, but that last season was a spin-off series, but it was included in the whole conglomerate of the series as a whole. Sonny with a Chance was an interesting show because it was a powerhouse show, and I'll get into Disney Channel powerhouses later on in my channel. The powerhouses of that time were Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, and Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato had recently gotten off of her giant spike of popularity from the Camp Rock series. Camp Rock! And Disney was just eager to capitalize on her popularity. Now, I don't know if Sonny with a Chance was made just for her in mind, or if it was a show that they had concocted up, and then they so happened to pair Demi as the lead. But for anyone who doesn't know what Sonny with a Chance is about, it's about a girl named Sonny Monroe, hence the name Sonny with a Chance, who gets a chance to be on her favorite sketch comedy show, called So Random. And pretty much the whole main cast of characters is the characters of the sketch comedy show, except for Chad Dillon Cooper, who is of their rival show, Mackenzie Falls, who has like a teen drama kind of show. And I really love like the implications of Mackenzie Falls. It just seems like a bizarre show.
I'm so glad you're here, Penelope. I'm so confused.
But Sonny with a Chance had some issues in production towards the end, with Demi Lovato exiting the show due to some of her personal problems that she had. But overall, I rewatched the entirety of Sonny with a Chance on Disney+, and it actually is a decent show. I mean, I love garbage sitcoms. I just love them. I'm in love with Demi Lovato. Like, in love. I've been in love with her for like 10 years now. They're out of order. I've been in love with her for like 10 years now. No! That one's precious. This one's garbage. Wait, my love. Oh, I love this album so much. So yes, my personal bias, if Demi Lovato said, but I am mad at her because she created this hot whopping garbage. But other than this, my laptop almost died. Say Sonny with a Chance was my favorite show as a kid. Literally just because of Demi Lovato. I'm still obsessed with her, but she's on thin ice because of, I don't even want to say its name. I don't even want to acknowledge it. You might be like, hey, why do you want it on CD? Because I didn't know it was going to suck. Okay, I trusted her that she'd create a good album like the past 5.
But no.
Okay, we're done talking about my personal squabble with Demi Lovato. Let's talk about Sonny with a Chance, and So Random. So Sonny with a Chance ran its first season, and Demi was a brunette at the time. I like to judge the timeline of Sonny with a Chance by Demi Lovato's hair color. But Sonny with a Chance in the first season was all about Sonny getting used to being, you know, a part of the show and trying to get to know the colorful cast of characters and, you know, Chad Dillon Cooper and all of that. And also, all the actors really gave it their all, and as far as Disney Channel sitcoms go, it's definitely not the worst. I know it does get a bad rep because it is kind of, it doesn't really have anything special about it. And it never really took off like all the other powerhouse shows, like Was It Regular Place or Hannah Montana, which, boy, that's a whole video in itself of what Hannah Montana created. So not only did Hannah Montana create this crazy landscape, it also created a landscape that was kind of encouraging music-based shows. Although Sonny with a Chance did fall into this trap towards the end of most in parts of the season 2, it did have some of those musical elements that tried to make it a music show. Because music shows were more successful. It's kind of obvious they were more successful. And obviously Nickelodeon jumped on the trend as well. And I would love to make a video about How to Rock, which is a music show that never took off. And I feel like it could have took off. But Hannah Montana really set this precedent that you need to have a show where you can release a soundtrack. Shows like Hannah Montana are a music show where you can easily make a soundtrack off that show. But something with Sonny with a Chance, you really can't. In the second season, they did have a couple original songs by Demi Lovato, like Me, Myself, and Time, and What to Do, and Work of Art. But they still made a soundtrack, but it wasn't the same. It didn't allow that amount of marketing like Hannah Montana. You know, each album corresponded to a season, and all the songs were by her and featured in the show. Or, you know, a movie like High School Musical, where it is just a straight-up musical, where they can sell those soundtracks. So Sonny with a Chance was already on a bad foot where it couldn't sell soundtracks. You know, even though they did have a soundtrack. They did have one. But they couldn't really. So also they were pushing, you know, this show was another way to keep Demi Lovato relevant, you know, because you have to keep in mind that the show came out around the time this guy came out, a little bit after the release of this guy, because this was kind of boosting off her Camp Rock fame. And around the time Sonny with a Chance was airing, this sucker came out. So these albums are relatively similar in sound. I like this one personally better, but they are relatively similar in sound, and they are meant to, you know, perpetuate the show a little bit more, because you want something outside of the show that these kids can latch onto, so this. But these weren't soundtracks, even though the Sonny with a Chance theme song actually is on this album. And don't mind me, I when I listened to that CD, I had a Bratz CD player, and I would purposely keep replaying the Sonny with a Chance theme song so I could memorize the second verse. I know the second verse now. Does anyone else? Probably not, but I do. I've been going on Demi Lovato tangents, and I need to stop. We need to talk about the actual show. So, Sonny with a Chance, let's talk about the actual show and not its lack of marketability. But that is one of the reasons why Sonny with a Chance is one of the more forgotten shows, other than those stupid Instagram accounts that are like, does anyone remember Sonny with a Chance? Oh my god, it was my favorite. It's so underrated. I hate those Instagram accounts who talk about old Disney Channel, because they don't approach it with logic, they just approach it with
bias. They're like, new Disney Channel's a piece of garbage.
when new Disney Channel's honestly better than the garbage we got, so that's the tea!
I hate that.
Alright. Oh god, I hate people.
Sonny with a Chance, in its first 2 seasons, it had, you know, arcs of Sonny and Chad, but it also had a lot of tropes to it. It really did feel like a generic Disney Channel show that just so happened to take place in, like, a TV show setting, which is another thing that also was popular at the time, was getting meta. You know, getting meta with the entertainment industry. I don't know why they kept trying to get kids involved in the entertainment. They made literally shows about the entertainment industry. Do you know how meta that is? Like I said before, this is taking off. This is shortly after the powerhouse that was Hannah Montana was coming to an end. Hannah Montana really changed the landscape of children's television for a long time. Like, after Hannah Montana's success, the amount of shows about not just the music industry, but the entertainment industry as a whole, and not just from Disney Channel, from Nickelodeon as well. There's so many copycats or wannabe Hannah Montanas. Sonny with a Chance is that, but for acting. You know, and I feel like making the show that they were making be a sketch comedy show kind of made it fall flat, because you have to realize the writers who were writing for this show were sitcom writers. They weren't sketch comedy writers, you know. They weren't on the level of SNL, or I think All That is a better comparison, because they aren't sketch comedy writers. And that shows heavily when they switch over to So Random in the later seasons. Yeah, so let's explain the storyline. So Sonny Chance Season 1 is just Sonny getting used to being on TV and all that. One thing that's so bizarre to me is how garbage So Random is treated as a whole. Like, from the studio, and just, it seems like nobody cares about So Random. So why is it still on the air? You know, and it's targeted at tweens. So, you know, it's very meta. It's a very meta show, even though it is a sketch comedy. I feel like making it a sketch comedy show was just, I feel like they should have made it like a teen drama. I feel like it would have been much funnier. And also, the characters on the sketch comedy show, there's usually way more characters than 5 on a sketch comedy show. Have you seen all that? Have you seen SNL? Like, you need a lot more than just 5. And I feel like that's one of the things that also limited it. In Season 1, they tried really hard to incorporate a sketch into each episode.
Some dogs big, some dogs bark. This one saves the day with farts. It's time for another adventure of Gassy.
Like, have a nicely formatted sketch, not just have, like, the behind the scenes of making the sketch. And I feel like as the show progressed, it started to be less about the sketch comedy and more about, you know, just being an average Disney Channel sitcom. Like, they did so many of just the normal Disney Channel sitcom tropes. They had the Girl Scout episode. Like, did that really need to be in this setting? Because you have to realize, once the shows progress, they just kind of focus on the characters and they don't really focus on the premise. And also, they focus more on the romance between Sonny and Chad. And I feel like the show would have been really funnier if they focused on like a Mackenzie Falls type show. Mackenzie Falls, whenever they showed any behind the scenes of Mackenzie Falls, it was always the funniest thing.
Trevor, you drove my car? Just once, but I thought about you the whole time.
Because I know they even made comments in the show of what even is your show about. Because when they intrude upon Sonny with when they intrude upon any Mackenzie Falls scenes, they're the weirdest things ever.
And secrets are revealed.
I'm afraid to fly.
And I would have loved that so much more. And I think it makes it even funnier. Honestly, Mackenzie Falls was literally a prediction of what Riverdale is now. Like, it's this serious teen drama with all this edginess. But then all of a sudden, they're doing fairy rocks or fizzle rocks in the woods. Getting fighting bears and crap. Because Chad was honestly the best character in Sonny with a Chance. Because of how, like, he defended Mackenzie Falls. You know, he's like, we are art, we are, you know, we're artistic, we're art, we're television, you know, and you're a bunch of chuckle buddies or whatever he called the So Random people. It's just funny that he insulted them for being goofy when their show is just bizarre. They did those So Random specials. They primarily did them in season 2. I think they were pretty decent. Just the only issue is a half an hour is not enough for a sketch comedy show. All that was able to pull it off because they kept it snappy. And also, the musical guests, they had that musical guest element in the sketch comedy episodes of the season 2 where they did like So Random with Shaquille O'Neal.
Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal, and I'll be hosting the So Random Halloween special.
It's gonna be a slam dunk, right?
I'm more than just a basketball player. Please don't put me in the box.
Like, as a kid, I didn't know who Shaquille O'Neal was, but also I don't like sports, so I was uncultured. I didn't really like the celebrity guests they got. But, I mean, celebrity guests on Disney Channel, I mean, I won't even get into that because the thing is a lot of the celebrity guests they get, like, you don't know who they are. Like, I rewatched Was Really the Place and they had Rachel Dratch. Like, who the hell, what kid knows who Rachel Dratch is? Like, I'm older now, and I freaking love her because she's iconic. What am I getting at? Oh, yeah, the celebrity guests they got. They also had Jeff Dunham. As a kid, I didn't know who Jeff Dunham was either. Because they get adult guests. Like, kids don't know who that is. Is it for the parents? Is it for me when I rewatch it when I'm older? Who else did they had celebrity guests in Sonny with a Chance? They really didn't have that many. Oh, they had Selena Gomez. I knew who that was. Oh, hell yeah, I knew who that was.
Abracadabra. Oh, what?
But now let's get to where there's a lot of celebrity guests. So now Demi's gone. Demi leaves. And I think the reason why they kept it going is because the show already got greenlit for another season. So they wanted to keep it going. So they kept the game writers. So you have to realize now we have sitcom writers working on a sketch comedy show. But the sketch comedy show is acting like a sitcom. I don't know. But So Random overall, I mean, there was a couple sketches that actually made me laugh and that were actually funny. But the sketches that were actually funny and that actually made me laugh, almost all of them had Shane Topp, Damian Haas, or Matthew Scott Montgomery. These 3 guys saved So Random. Oh my gosh, these 3 were awesome. And you can see why, because Matthew Scott Montgomery is just a really funny dude. And Shane and Damian are still doing sketch comedy to this day on YouTube on Smosh. And I love listening to their podcasts that they do whenever they talk about their time on So Random. And Shane, Damian, and Matthew Scott all said that the characters they auditioned with were all characters that made it into the show. So keep in mind, some of the most popular characters in the show were not written by the writers. They were created by Matthew Scott, Damian, and Shane. And I know everyone, like, the main memorable character from So Random was, "You're not gonna believe this."
Oh, you're not gonna believe this.
That was created by Matthew Scott. One of the most famous characters from So Random, you know, after Demi left. And another disadvantage is they couldn't do any of Demi's old sketches. You know, Sicky Vicky, I feel like, was one of the more popular sketches from the Demi era of Sonny with a Chance. But now, you know, they're transitioning to So Random, and they're hiring new cast. So like I said before, a sketch comedy show, you can't do a sketch comedy show with 5 people. You can't. So when Demi left, and they only had 4 people. So they brought in, from Mackenzie Falls, they had Chad Dillon Cooper become a regular on So Random, which made no sense in the context of the sitcom. Like, made no sense. They never explained why Sonny left. I think they did, like, briefly. I don't know. Him joining the show made literally no sense with context of the sitcom. But I don't think they cared. They just kind of wanted to keep it going, and I think the actors still wanted to have a job. So that's why they kept it going. And then they started hiring a bunch of new people. So according to Shane, Damian, and Matthew Scott, well, primarily Shane and Damian, because, you know, it's their podcast and they're Smash people. They always said that with Sonny with a Chance, the casting process was always weird because they wanted to keep them as guest stars so they didn't have to pay them more. So that's why Shane, Damian, and Matthew Scott are not in every single episode, but they're in pretty much all of them. And the thing that's even weirder to me is usually for things like All That or SNL, or for any show nonetheless, is these guest star roles, like, so, take SNL, for example. So when they have the featured cast members, which are the newer cast members for the season, they usually have them play mostly straight man, which is the characters that aren't really that funny, that are just the more serious ones that make the funny characters even funnier. They usually have them in those roles or just not in that many sketches. Like, they probably have 1 sketch per episode for their first season, and then eventually they'll be able to get those goofier and lead roles. But the thing that's even weirder to me is the fact that Matthew, I keep saying it, oh my god, I say their names so many times. Matthew Scott, Damian, and Shane actually had those lead roles, and they were actually funny in them. And, you know, Doug Brochu, Brandon Michael Smith, Tiffany Thornton, Ashley Allison Arm, and Sterling Knight, those being those, you know, returning characters, actually didn't have, you know, those main funny roles. There was only a couple sketches where they really had, like, those main funny roles, you know? Like, a lot of the big characters, like the Harry Potter with Shane Tapp, you know, and they had Zombie Man. He could have been anyone, but no, they went with Damian. I don't know, it's kind of weird to me that they gave, you know, Damian, Shane, and Matthew Scott, and some of the other new cast members, those main comedy roles. So now let's talk about the celebrity guests they got on So Random. So when I was watching So Random, the celebrity guests and musical guests are very product of the times. Each channel tries to make stars. They're not trying to make shows. They're not trying to make movies. They're trying to make stars. They're trying to make people who are marketable. That is what they're trying to do. So they were trying to do it with Coco Jones. So Coco Jones was the NBT, the next big thing. She was a big music artist, you know, for Disney Channel that they created pretty much. And they had a movie with her, The Let It Shine. They had that movie with her. And they wanted to keep her momentum going, so they stuck her on So Random for some reason. And she was not a good fit on So Random. She really wasn't. You can tell she's not a comedy actor. She's a singer. Another thing with So Random is the budget. You could tell they had a very high budget for a Disney Channel show because they didn't really reuse a lot of sets. They created new sets for everything, and that's a thing that and that's another reason why I think they didn't get renewed after, is because of how expensive it probably was. Because, you know, the costumes, the sets. With something like, you know, like Charlie, you have the same 5 sets for every episode. You know, you don't need to rebuild stuff every episode. But with something like So Random, you have to have new sets, new costumes for literally every episode. And nonetheless, you need to have so many for each episode. And its runtime for each episode was only 30 minutes. So that also means, not even 30 because commercials, like 22 minutes. So also, you have to cram all these little sketches in really quick. So like Shane was saying, Shane said in one of the podcasts that, you know, he had this really insane bird costume to be Jack Sparrow, and they literally only used it for like 2 minutes of airtime. And he was in makeup for like hours for 2 minutes of airtime. And there's this strawberry shortcake sketch. They built this amazing set and this really great costume, and there was just so much to the sketch. It was only a minute long. So that's another reason why it got canceled. Wasting money. And the celebrity guest. I'm going to try to finish up my spiel. The celebrity guests were very product of the times. They had lemonade mouth. Just a lot of artists that had like nothing. I know they talked heavily about the New Boys. I have never heard of the New Boys before. Because, like I said, Disney tries to make stars, and a lot of the musical artists they had on there were artists that Disney Channel heavily marketed. And they were ones that never took off, because literally the only one backing them was Disney. Was Disney Channel, and they just heavily back these artists. You know, like, growing up, watching Disney Channel, like, how many artists that they heavily marketed are still around today, other than the powerhouses? They had Cody Simpson. Who else did they have that was weird? They had a lot of very young artists. Grayson Chance was so tiny. It's a little kid. I was like, boy. But yeah, Sonny with a Chance. It's a weird show, and I mean, I think Disney knew that it was a weird show. They switched to So Random to try to save it, you know. But it just didn't have the momentum it needed. It was not an SNL for kids. You know, and Shane, there's a clip of Shane talking about Brandon Michael Smith saying that he thought So Random was going to be like the new SNL or SNL for kids. Like he thought it would be like this huge thing. It wasn't. It failed. I don't want to say it failed, but So Random just wasn't. It didn't have what it takes. And the celebrity guest, literally, the thing is, the celebrity guest, because they felt like they had every single episode of celebrity guest. And a lot of the ones that got were just ones that Disney Channel heavily marketed. They only got a few, like, actually big artists. They actually got Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is really the only, like, is probably the biggest artist they ever had on there, which is a pretty big artist to have on there, actually. But really, other than Justin Bieber, they had Selena Gomez. But again, that's a heavily marketed Disney artist. I don't know, but I might talk about the subject later, but I went on for 30 minutes just babbling about Disney Channel, Sonny with a Chance. I'm very interested in, you know, Disney Channel history and past and the inner workings of it. I don't know why I'm so fascinated by it, but I'm fascinated on, you know, what works, what doesn't. And Disney Channel's just such a unique thing because it's so self-contained. You know, because they only advertise themselves on their own channel primarily. And they try to make these stars. They're like a factory of trying to make child stars. And it's so bizarre. And any chance I get to hear about the inner workings of Disney Channel and how they choose who to market or why these shows exist, you know, because, again, you have to make it marketable. And Sonny with a Chance did not have that marketable tactic, especially with So Random. You know, you couldn't market it because there was nothing to market. There was no music. There was no, like, especially with So Random, you know, they lost Demi. They lost that, you know, that extra layer, that musical layer. They lost it. And if they can't make music or make something outside of it to sell, again, there was not a lot of Sonny with a Chance merchandise other than that soundtrack they made. It was not marketable in a way like Hannah Montana was. You know, they didn't have the Target clothing line. They didn't have CDs. They didn't have board games. They didn't have things like, you know, like Camp Rock had a bunch of stuff. High School Musical had a ton of stuff. Descendants is probably their main marketer right now, what they've been marketing heavily. They didn't have something marketable to latch onto, and that is ultimately why it went down. They didn't have the star power once they got to So Random. But it was a cool thing while it lasted, and I mean, Shane and Damien always talk very highly of their time on there. And I personally like Sonny with a Chance. I don't think it's one of the greats of Disney Channel, but it is something that existed, and you can tell there was some passion behind it, that they did try to make the most of what they had at the time. And Sonny with a Chance, again, was, when I rewatched it, I mean, I wanted to finish. So, it's your boy Amanda, and that's my thoughts on Sonny with a Chance and So Random. I know this video, it was unscripted. Although it may seem like it, it's not. It's clearly not scripted. But I wanted to just create a video of me talking about something Disney Channel related, because I feel like I said that in my introduction video, and I never did anything with it. I'm still working on this channel. I'm still trying to make something that I can stick with, or try to build something with this channel and try to make something of value. And that's all I'm going to say with this, but if there's anything else you want to see from me, let me know. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with this channel, or if I even want to continue. Because this is actually a lot of work to get editing and come up with ideas and just sit down and film. Because I want to make it in a way where I am trying to make quality and making something that people do want to watch. And I also want to make sure it's something that I enjoy making and that I'm willing to put the time into. Oh gosh, this video's going to be so long. I'm going to crop it up a lot. And I'm probably going to cut out a lot of stuff I said. But I want any and all feedback. I know I'm probably not going to get a lot because I'm probably not going to get a lot of viewers. But all I'm trying to say is I don't know if I want to keep doing this. But I have so much I want to say about Disney Channel. I will review every single Disney Channel show. If that's what you want to see. If that's the thoughts you want to hear from me. I would love to do an interview type style. I'm open to a lot. And I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing. I've said that like 5 times. But this outro is getting too long. And I'm talking so loud. The audio probably peaked a million times. But I want to be assertive with my voice. I want to be dominant with my voice. And I'm trying my best to gain confidence on camera. And I feel like this video is a good example of me gaining that confidence on camera. So, this blabbed on way too long. And it's your boy Amanda. And hope you enjoyed. Goodbye. And I hope you enjoyed seeing my Demi Lovato CD collection because I'm proud of it.